Hi, gang. This is Jonathan Eder and the piano lesson. I wanted to do a quick run through of all the things that we need to learn, we need to know before we can really learn tunes. But then I wanted to talk about what are the best tunes to start learning jazz piano. There are a lot of tunes that look easy that really aren't. They're kind of hard. And there are tunes that look hard that are actually easier than they look. As a generalization, in the beginning, the object of the game is to ultimately learn your major scales, to be able to learn the chords in the scales, to make chord patterns or 2-5-1s, and then to apply that to repertoire, to apply that to songs, okay? Maybe I'll just start playing a few tunes, some of the tunes that I think are fun tunes to start with. So the first tune, Satin Doll, has an introduction. So, there's Satin Doll. Why do I like that tune to start with? I like it because it uses 2-5-1s, D minor, G, E minor, A minor, D, A minor 7 flat 5, D, A flat minor 7, D flat 7, and then to C. It's in the key of C, right? But it modulates eventually. The bridge goes to F, right? And then the seemingly goes up to G, A minor 7, D 7, and then your sixth chord back to the last A. Okay, and when you're practicing, so again, those are the basic 2-5-1s you need to know. D minor 7, G7, C major 7, C minor 7, F7, B flat major 7, B flat minor 7, E flat 7, A flat major 7, A flat minor 7, D flat 7, G flat major 7, or F sharp minor 7, B7, E major 7, E minor 7, A7, D major 7, and you're back to the key of C. So we've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 keys by whole steps. That's the exercise you need to know to play jazz. All right, and same thing with the left hand, especially to develop bass lines. And then eventually, both hands, and 2 octaves apart. And then maybe with a major scale. Okay, and you're back to the C again. So you've gone through the 6 keys through the whole tone scale, and then you go up a half step, up or down a half step, and go through. You go through the other 6 keys. E flat minor, A flat 7, D flat major 7, C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7, B minor, E7, A major 7, A minor, D7, G, key of F, F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7, right? So you can do those. You can do those in your sleep, right? And with that knowledge, you can really learn almost, most jazz tunes reasonably well. I like to start with How High the Moon because it uses a lot of 2-5-1s, G major, 2-5-1, 2-5-1. So you start in the key of G, 2-5-1 to F, 2-5-1 to E flat, then back up 2-5, A minor 7 flat 5, D7, G minor 7 into a minor key, parallel minor, not relative minor, and then major. Let's do that like this. Now I played some chords there that were a little more complicated. When I started, I did this. I actually played a chord with a minor third in it, and it was kind of diminished with a major 7 and a ninth, as opposed to doing the major 7 from the beginning. Those are colors you can add. That's a flatted ninth, that's not a big deal. So that's, sorry about that pedal there. Never let go of the pedal. Oh, it makes an awful noise. I shouldn't do that again. Anyway, that's another good tune to start with. Also, Take the A Train. Great tune. You know what? Earlier in the show, I gave you an introduction, and I said it was the introduction for Satin Doll, and I did this. And for you guys in the know, that's actually the introduction to Take the A Train. Sometimes they blend together. The introduction for Satin Doll is this. Introductions are really important to do for the songs. They really make a difference. So let me just show you that real quick. The introduction for A Train. That's the whole tone scale. It's close enough. And then there's a pedal tone. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on 2 and 4. That's the introduction to A Train. Whereas Satin Doll is also pedal. That's the introduction. So here's take the A Train. The actual ending is sharp 9, sharp 5. But I like that tune. They're kind of nice to do together because they're both in the same key, and the bridge both goes to F. The difference is that in A Train, the bridge goes immediately to F. It just lands right on the F chord. In Satin Doll, it does a 2/5 into F. So a little bit different, okay? But pretty similar. Nice to do as a kind of both together. Super just iconic tunes, really wonderful songs. But learning songs that are similar, there's a lot of songs that are similar, but learning songs that are similar can help get you a lot of mileage off of the things you know. Now, if you really want to learn tunes, you want to learn fake book tunes, okay? There's no substitute for knowing the major scales, right? Learning all the chords in the scale, triads, 7 chords, you don't know what I'm talking about, then I have other videos on that. And if you do, well, then that's great. And also making sure that you do it systematically and doing each inversion of the chord. That's the 1 chord, 2 chord, right? Okay. Each inversion, 3 chord, E minor 7. Being able to do that, left hand, right hand, both hands, okay? And you could also do like block chord in the left hand and broken chord in the right hand. Right, and then you use your broken chord in the left hand. Broken chord in both hands. Do 2. Right. There's really no substitute for, you know, you just have to know those. You have to be able to do it in really any key. So, you know, G major, D major. Okay, if you'll do it in your sleep, B flat major. Right? In fact, maybe I could do these better if I was sleeping. Who knows? But you have to be able to become fluent. Now, I've been doing this all my life, so of course it looks easier than it is, right? But just getting your foot in the door with that, and then doing the 2-5-1 like I showed you. In this instance, you could play them all in root position, right, all in root position, or root position, second inversion, root position. So the second inversion, I'm taking the 5 chord, right? I'm taking the 5 chord, taking the top 2 notes and playing them down here. Right? So it's 2, 5, 1, right? Rather than 2, 5, 1. Both are perfectly fine, okay? But, you know, especially in the beginning. In fact, even as a more advanced player, but even as a more advanced player, it's actually nice to practice chords in root position. It just kind of gets you grounded. So, I mean, it's not like it's beneath you once you become more accomplished to play chords in root position. In fact, if you're playing solo piano, you're going to be playing the root. And actually, you know what? Even if you're playing in a band, you're going to be playing the root. And if the bass player doesn't like it, it's too bad. Go home, bass player. We don't need you. Blah. No. But, you know, that's you know, and just as a little side note, this part of the piano, so the tenor range, the bass, tenor, alto, soprano. The tenor range is really where the piano sounds good. I mean, that's where, you know, Beethoven wrote a lot of his melodies. What was it? Right? The Pathétique. That's right, kind of right around that area of the piano. You know, it's this area of the piano sounds with the accompaniment, those voicings. There is a lesson I'd like to talk about a little later on, possibly, maybe not today, but there is a wonderful inspiration for one of Dvorak's melodies from his New World Symphony, where he gets inspired from an American folk song, and I'll put that together in a future video. But I just mentioned it because people are always asking what should they play when they improvise, and I try to encourage them to take a simple idea and develop it organically, as opposed to just superimposing like a cool lick over the tune that you're playing or trying to play. Now, what would some of these tunes sound like if I just played in a more basic way? Well, it would sound like this. All right? Perfectly adequate. Or that's Satin Doll, all right? Or How High the Moon. this is a bit low on the piano because, right, so maybe I'll bring up the melody an octave. Root position. All right, so that's kind of where I would start from. In fact, I'd even go one step before that and just play the bass line. Root, A, D, A flat, D flat, C, D, E flat, E. Pretend you're the bass player. Just practice the bass line first and memorize the bass line. Memorize the bass line. You know, you have to memorize the tunes. You can't have a book in front of you all the time, and you don't want to. It's no fun to have a book in front of you all the time. So, you know, at the very least, make a point of memorizing the bass lines. What was the other one? Playing rhythmically. Learning to comp in the beginning. So you don't have to play everything as whole notes or half notes or quarter notes. You should be able to do that. Can you do that just playing continuous quarter notes? Half notes. Whole notes, 2, 3, 4, right? Or again, picking some type of consistent rhythmic ba 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and that kind of thing. Just being consistent throughout, and knowing, you know, keeping your place is really the hardest thing to do when you're playing. I think more than anything, having a sense of the form, having a sense of a 4-bar phrase or an 8-bar phrase, or, you know, this completion of like a 32-bar tune, of form. That's really what you're practicing. So, you know, practicing just I mean, I'm not doing very much there melodically, right? But I'm playing rhythmically, and I'm repeating one note. It's very simple. It's not so easy to do, to really keep a tempo, so you can use your metronome, right? What else did I want? Oh, so, and the next step after that, now that if you've gotten the basics, right, then the next step is to try to embellish a bit, right? To try to make it sound more like a pianist would play a little bit. So rather than playing the root position and the second inversion chords like that, okay, you would practice in what I call shell voicings, and there's really only two options that you have. You can play a seventh, a third, and then a seventh. All right, so it sounds like this. But when you practice as if you were playing the entire chord and lift up the notes. See, lifting, lifting, lifting. 2, 5, 1, B flat minor 7, lifting. E flat 7, lifting. A flat major 7, lifting in the middle, right? So that's going to sound like this. So you're playing the shell of the chord, the root and seventh, root and third, root and seventh, root and seventh, root and third, root and seventh. Now in a song like On How High the Moon, that voicing sounds too low, really. It's too muddy down there. But if you do that shell voicing, right, that still sounds a bit gritty, but it's not so bad. But if you take those notes and put them up here, well, now you have something. That sounds nice. And you're right in that area where Beethoven plays, right? That. I mean, there's not much to do, really. Seventh, third, seventh. Seventh, third, seventh, seventh, third, seventh. Now, whenever you have a third, you can always take that note and play it an octave lower. Play it as a tenth. Right? Instead of playing this third like that, you can play it down here. Now, if you can't reach that, well, fine. You just hold the pedal down and move your hand. All right? Seventh, seventh, third. Right? Or one way to play that tenth is one little trick is you take the fleshy part of your fingers and kind of put it right against the lip of the piano, right where that top of the key kind of goes over, and press in like that, and you'll get the key down. You don't have to go over the top of the key. That's too hard. All right, you stay under at the bottom, all right, and kind of maintain contact with the side of the key. You can play the piano from the side of the key, actually, right? Not even from the top. You can play from the side. Now, I've been playing long enough. My hands aren't that big, but I've been playing long enough where I can do these things. Another stretch, a very good stretch, is to take the fleshy part of the hand here and just do these little splits, these little hand splits, okay? And you can kind of right, and then close your hand and kind of relax, and then do the next finger, 1 and 5. You could do it here, kind of 1 and 5, and then release. So that'll help too. But there's a process, okay? There's no shortcutting it. There just isn't. And look, music is just air, right? It's just abstract. So you are the instrument. I mean, the piano really isn't the instrument. You're the instrument. You have to be the instrument. So anyway, I hope that encouraged you a little bit, gave you just a crash course or crash refresher course, or I imagine some of you may have already known some of these things, but I just wanted to let you guys know what you're in for. And if you have any questions or you need some private coaching, give me a holler. Okay, this is Jonathan Eder in the Piano Lesson, and we will see you next time. Take care.